Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. This is brought to you, of course, by Rockstar, who pays me nothing to do this. Mm. hmm That's the good stuff. So we're back, the 2025 pit maneuver, and we ran great on Saturday. You guys saw the live, the post race on Saturday evening. Went on a Sunday morning, ran really hard, ran really great. Hammond was in the car first, and then Dakota, who's
What up,
right
everyone?
he was in the car second and was finishing up his session and came in pit and noticed a knock, a very loud knock. Because if you can hear it in this car, it's loud as hell.
Yep.
And said, "Hey, I'm going to see if I can, limp this thing back to the paddock." And limped it almost all the way back. We saw you come in on the live stream. So Taryn and I headed down to the gas pumps because we were going to put gas in it. And Taryn was going to get in the car and go rip. And then we noticed 3 to 4 people getting behind the car and pushing it. We're like, "Oh, it's out of gas."
I wish.
Yeah, that's what we were hoping for. And so we book up there, and Dakota sticks his thumb out the window with a thumbs down. And we're like, okay. So the car goes into the paddock, and we have determined, we tried to start the car, and it is completely locked up. So that finished off our weekend racing because we don't have an engine. The next engine was here. You can't really see it. It's kind of right there. That's our spare engine. And our spare engine was 3 hours away. It's about 2.5 to take it out if we're hammering, and it's about 2 to put it back in. And with the 3 hour driving back, we weren't making it in time. So we called it a day. We had a great time on Saturday. Everyone got tons of laps in. A lot of them under caution on Saturday.
Yeah, it was all green on Sunday.
The Sunday was a lot of green. I had a lot of green. I
That's good.
only had one caution for my session on Saturday. So we had a ton of line, and Pit Race is an awesome facility, right? Going to that track. That's obviously it's weird that Mid Ohio so Pit Race is my home track. I have more laps there than I do at any other tracks. So we had a great time. Lemon staff, awesome. As usual. Never had any difficulty with Lemon staff. They've always been great. The judges, even the penalty we got, no problem. And then who else? The other racers, we all had a great time with.
Yeah.
We saw some, let's call them idiosyncrasies with some of the other drivers. The guy in that Tacoma, did you?
Yeah, he wasn't happy with Brian's driving.
No. That was a different guy. The guy who, when you switched out of the way,
yeah.
remember that guy?
Yeah.
That was a different guy, though, right?
Same guy.
Every guy that came up beside this guy shit his pants and like twitched. But it wasn't like just a little bit of car movement. It was like a third of the car. Like if there was someone on the other side of him, he would have smacked right into him because he was so terrified that someone came up alongside him, and he was doing it in both directions. So it was really, really kind of scary.
I think Lemons said
Hey, Joey.
that was the first taco to ever race in Lemons.
Oh,
which is kind of surprising, actually.
Okay,
but
that's why they got the IOE.
Yeah. So.
But that one, that's kind of scary, and to me, that would get a talking to. Hey, man, just relax a little bit, and don't worry, they're not trying to hit you. But yeah, otherwise, we had a really nice time. The weather on Saturday was okay. The weather on Sunday was really nice. Great racing weather on Sunday, but unfortunately, our day ended early, and so we're back here, and we're swapping out the engine, taking out the old 1MZ, which was Nate Millison build, and it served us well for 5 events, I think.
Yeah.
And we're going to find out what went wrong with it, put in the spare engine that we have, and that should start right up. And before anyone asks, I will not be going through this engine until this car runs and drives. When this car runs and drives, then we can tear apart the engine and find out WTF. But we're not doing that. What I can tell you is that it is not, and I repeat, not an oil starvation issue. And I told the guys that at the track. There were certain people that were absolutely sure that it's an oil starvation issue, and it's not. And then today, when I drained the oil out of this engine, it just reaffirmed what I'm saying. The oil is dark, but there is no glitter. There are no metal shavings, nothing in the oil. So it is not an oil starvation issue at all in any way. Um, I understand why people would say that, but you also get yourself into a big hole when you guess like that. You can get in some pretty deep shit. So um, you got to be careful when you're, trying to be first or trying to be the most knowledgeable and know it all. And I've seen this a million times, kind of guy, because you're going to get surprised and you're going to have to eat a shit sandwich. So, good news is I have bread inside. So, yeah, that was kind of our weekend. We've been working tonight. Brian just left. You can see we pulled some of the graphics off the car. It's going to go back to white, and then we're going to figure out a new graphic.
It's going to be some form of a resurrection when we get.
Yeah, they're talking about a Harry Potter theme, and I'm not a Harry Potter fan, so I don't know any of these references. They're talking about wiggle sticks and Dumbledore and this other stuff. And what's the flying broomstick thing? What is that called?
I think it's just a broomstick. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nimbus 3000.
Is that what it's called?
Good one.
Depends on what model you get.
Depends on what model.
How much money your
There's
parents
different
have.
models of
Yeah, when they
broomsticks.
send you to school, how much money do they have? Can they get you the nice one?
Okay. And I know that
You
they
got catching up to do.
he walks into a wall, but it's actually a train station.
Yes.
Okay.
6 3/4. Is that what the? Something like that.
Okay. Yeah. See, this is how much Harry Potter I know. I know isn't there an owl thing?
Oh yeah, they send the messages.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I know Alan Rickman was a bad guy.
Yeah. So
Jury's
Okay.
out.
He was a hard character, not a bad guy.
he
Okay.
was the hardest loser.
Okay. Who was the bad guy?
Those die who shall not be.
Holy shit. Okay. I'm out. I guess I'm older than 15, so I guess I'm not going to get any of these references.
I think the first movies might have been out on VCR.
You mean VHS?
I have my
Sorry.
I
Yes.
have my-
You sound like my dad read that. Just put it in the machine with the tape and stuff in it. Yeah. So yeah, we were talking about that tonight, but I have no clue. Personally, that's fine. That would be a fine theme. The other one we were talking about, they want to put a ton of shit all over the car, and I'm not into that. It can be fun, but it's also extremely obnoxious and doesn't help us turn. What do we got messages here? How long are you in town on Easter? And I'm getting messages here from a friend of mine who's trying to beat breast cancer, which is pretty cool. I fly back on the 20th, so I'll be back in Florida evening of the 20th. And then it's the next big event for me will be Tail the Dragon at the end of May with all the Viper guys. And you guys are welcome to join us for that. That is not racing. That is just a really fun 3-4 days with the Viper guys ripping around, driving the speed limit in the gorgeous mountains. It's a lot of fun. Gatlinburg and yeah, not speeding and
Close course, professional idiots.
yes. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. So we haven't really figured out what we're gonna do, but you guys will be the first to know with regard to theme. And
Step one will be get it running and driving again.
running and driving should be pretty easy. It's with these cars, it's actually not that complicated. It's a lot of wiring and a lot of plumbing. And so unhooking all of that wiring and all that plumbing is the biggest pain in the ass. The 4 bolts that hold the engine in the car, not a huge thing. That's pretty easy. It's unhooking the fuel lines, unhooking the coolant lines, unhooking the clutch line. Did Brian get that?
Yeah,
Oh,
he got the.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. You got it?
No, Brian did.
Oh, okay. And unhooking the fluids in the electrical is the big issue. And on this car, it's a little bit different because we wired it up OBD2. The harness actually stays in the car. You can see the wiring harness here. This is the main wiring harness that goes on top of the engine, and that stays in the car versus normally you would have a wiring harness on the engine, do it up, run it through the line and plug it in. But because we wired this car up OBD2, we have it hardwired to the car, so we have to unhook the harness and pull it all out. And then the coolant lines, fuel lines, drain all the oil, and our coolant is actually water. We just use distilled water. Because of the racetrack, you do not want slippery stuff coming out of your car, making it slippery. Yeah, David, you're still on video. It doesn't matter. David's trying to be stealth, and he's like trying to duck down, but still see him. Yeah. You don't use coolant, which has glycol in it, which is really slippery. So you just use regular distilled water. It works really well. And with this car, we also run some CLR because we have old coolant lines. So we're trying to get the coolant lines cleared out. Oh yeah, Joey, I'd love to see Carries Miata. You guys got to go check out Carries Miata. Go to Joey's page on Instagram. Check out her Miata. She did it a super cool color. I won't spoil the color for you. She did a super cool color. She got a new Miata. The paint was kind of faded. It looked okay, but it could definitely be better. And Joey, her awesome boyfriend, fiance, forever and ever, works up and got the hookup, and they spent like a whole week prepping the car and getting it smooth and looking great. Then they sprayed it. Definitely worth checking out. And yeah, I'm glad she likes that car. I know she got addicted to Miatas when she was borrowing mine, so that's a good thing. I'm glad she likes it, and it suits her personality really well too. The Evo was cool, and maybe the Evo comes back, but the Miata suits her personality well. It's a good daily for her. So yeah, what is it? Dakota's just taking us.
Yeah, I think that's
Okay.
at least the blue and yellow. Yeah,
Yeah, we were gonna keep the blue and yellow, but
seems fitting with the new engine.
yeah,
New livery.
we have new car, new livery, new engine. You know, depending on what we do with the transmission, we might have a new transmission. Brian and I were talking about doing a taller 345.
I would love a taller fourth.
Not a lot taller,
Yeah,
but a little bit more 3, a little bit more 4,
Yeah.
a little bit more 5. Not
Yeah.
like trying to set lap records at TRC or
No.
anything. Just a little bit more in 4, and I think also because there's so much torque, it saves us. If we have it saves us a lot of RPMs if we have a taller fourth and a taller third, taller fourth will save us RPMs. And since the engine has all that torque, we might as well use it. I think with this transaxle, because it is all this stuff is for a commuter car. This engine and this transmission, the E153, it's not made to do any of the shit we're doing with it. It is not even close. It is geared for driving around Osaka. Its oiling system is humorous, to say the best. And that's why you see a lot of people with Camry engines that are locked up, because they don't change the oil very often. And it has very, very tiny oil galleys. Oil galleys are where the oil gets pumped to the top of the engine and it flows down through all the components, the cams, rockers, all that stuff, and it flows down around the crank, through the crank, everywhere. So you have these little galleys, these little tubes that go down to where it's supposed to go. And in the 1MZ engine, not a full blast race car engine, it has these very, very tiny galleys. So the oil pump can send all the oil to the top, but it takes a while for it to components. Look at any sort of race car engine, like just go look at a Chevy small block. They'll have these huge oil galleys where they're like, you can send all the oil you want up top. We're going to dump it all right back down, and we'll cover, cams and cranks and everything. So that's the difference. And so when people don't change the oil in this, the oil gets sludgy and those things clog up real easy. And then all of a sudden you're not getting oil to certain components and they fail. So that's why a lot of people bail on the 1MZs. They're just not designed to do that. Now, there are guys who have done seriously built 1MZs where they re-drill those galleys and make them a lot bigger, but you don't have a lot of work, a lot of space to work in the casting. So you're kind of limited with how big the engine is. This engine's actually very small. It's 200, block and cylinder heads are 280. And then the 2GR was another 100 pounds, is like 360. And it's actually a much larger engine. It's still all aluminum, but it's like 100 pounds more. So we were looking at the 2GR, but also the physical of the 2GR won't let it work in here without cutting firewalls, which we're not doing.
But it's still
against
still
the
lighter
rules.
than the stock engine, right? With the cast block and
The 2GR would be about the same.
about the same.
Yeah, because we lost 28 pounds, 30 pounds
Mhm.
going from a straight 4 iron
Right.
block to
Yeah.
a V6 aluminum. So David's heading out. David's whispering that he's heading out, like it's some secret to you guys. Like, oh no, don't want to let everyone know David's taking the M2 out.